Hey guys, welcome back to the channel. And I want to first start off by saying thank you for subscribing. Each and every one of you that has subscribed, we got to the 1,000 mark this past week, and it's awesome. So if you're not a subscriber and you like some of this content, you can hit that subscribe button now, and let's keep counting them up. I want to give another shout out to your PCMD. Right shortly after I got subscribed, he sent me a super thanks, which is much appreciated, brother. I really appreciate the support for the channel. And in my last video, some of you guys said you couldn't hear me very well. And I shoot with just a regular iPhone, and I have to edit my volume when I'm making the video, which is a lot of time. So this past week, what I did, I bought these Hollyland Lark M2 microphones. You can see this little quarter-size microphone, and I've tested it just very shortly before I started to make this video, and it's awesome. I've got the noise canceling on. My neighbors are cutting their grass right now. I don't know if you can hear it, but I don't have to change my volume when I'm speaking, holding the camera versus when it's on the tripod, shooting the video. But anyway, we'll get into the video. I'm not sponsored by them. I bought all this stuff with my money. I'm not sponsored by anybody. So just giving you guys a heads up. If you are interested in something like this, I can leave this in the description below as well with the parts that we're going to use today. But we're going to put this roll pan on, and I bought the cheapest roll pan I could find. I think I bought it from eBay, maybe even Amazon. I've had it for some time. You've seen it in past videos, but I will leave it in the description. I bought the cheapest one I could find because all the roll pans that I've seen, none of them fit well. So I'm thinking they're probably stamped in the same manufacturing facility, just put in different boxes with different prices. Doesn't matter if you buy them at a big box store or if you buy them at Amazon. So we're going to try to make it fit today and get the most minimal gap we can get on our tailgate. And I'm going to show you how I did that, or how I do that. I haven't got it done yet, so I know a lot of people finish their videos and then they'll show you. But I'm rambling, so let's get you down on the tripod down here on the floor, and I'll show you how we're going to get this roll pan on. Stay tuned. Okay, guys. What I was talking about, getting the most minimal gap, or the least minimal gap, is when we put this roll pan up in here. As you can see, you probably can't see the corners on each side of the truck very well over here. But when this thing's all the way up flush, it is pretty smooth with the body line. The only problem is you can't open your tailgate. So what I've got to do is figure out what is the smallest gap that I can have here and still open this without this hitting. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to put me some blue painter's tape on each side. I'm trying to make this video so that if you guys still have your bed on your truck, you don't have to do anything different than what I'm going to show you. But I'm going to put some painter's tape, and I've got some jack stands here. I don't have any extra help. I'm going to put those jack stands under here and figure out a way to get it held and open this tailgate so we can adjust that gap. So let me get the tape over here, get it set up, and we'll try to measure this gap, and I'll tell you what that is when I get it held in place. Okay guys, let me show you what I got. From back here, it doesn't look too bad. That's a 3/4 inch gap. And what I did, I marked the top of my tailgate, the ridge right on the corner of the roll pan lines up with this 3/4 inch mark. And the reason I did this is when you take this tailgate off, you can't eyeball it and get it close. There's a lot of things to consider when putting this thing on, and I'll show you what I'm talking about. I know this is kind of, let me get this focused here. I know this is kind of redneck here, but I can move these shims in and out and raise it ever so slightly there. And what you're going to have is problems with it wanting to roll. The roll pan is going to want to roll. So I got a bottle jack, and I can fine tune, just turn it and get it to kick out. Now one thing, I have been playing with this for hours. I know this is just seconds and minutes on YouTube, but I have put a level on it to make sure that it's level all the way across, as is my tailgate. But one thing that's it's gonna bite you if you don't pay attention is when these things come in the box, if you can see that lip down in there, is not touching all the way across very well. So that means you're going to have to, once you get this marked and drilled, you'll have to bend this lip in. And I just went to Harbor Freight and got a pair of these seam, I think they're called hand seamers. Yeah, hand seamer. And I can bend this back, or you can lay it across a bench, clamp it down and bend it. So there'll have to be some tweaking done here as well. But I'm fixing to take the tailgate off, go ahead and mark my line. I've marked one line, but I'm not happy with that. So I'm going to mark my line, mark my holes for my nut certs, and I'm going to use these big-headed Allen screws. They're 1/4 20. I picked them up at the hardware store. I was going to use 1/4 20 bolts, but I wanted something more inconspicuous and something that had a larger surface area to cover. So these screws give me a big wide head on them, so it'll pull it in tighter. So let me get this marked and drilled, and we'll put it on here and see how it fits. Let me close the tailgate. I want to show you something else that got me on this one. You notice that gap. Let me open it and show you how close it is. For those of you that may want to do it right on 3/4, it is close, very close. In the middle of this thing, this roll pan was actually a little bit bowed, but that's your distance right there. And you know, you can see my tailgate's not painted, and my concern is if I get a couple of layers of paint on here, it's going to start touching by the time I paint the roll pan and the tailgate. So I give myself a little wiggle room there. But that's what it looks like, and this is how I got my measurement. Again, I know this is kind of redneck, but a pack of shims, and I could drive a shim in and pick it up and get it level. And this right here allowed me not to, it kept wanting to roll off the jack stands. You guys probably have a better idea. I could not come up with anything, but this is what I've got. And I can make it repeatable when I take my tailgate off. So let's get the tailgate off, get it marked, get it drilled, put it back on here. Let me show you the body seam. Now this is going to be pushed in just a little, but that's what you're going to be dealing with on these roll pans. They hang down just a little bit below the body line. If you get them this close, I consider this a win. Maybe later when we get ready to paint the truck, we'll cut this and roll it up and weld it so that it forms contours to the body line a little bit better. But for now, this is what we're going to roll with. No pun intended. All right, stay tuned, guys. Okay, guys, from the time lapse you saw I marked my holes. I took a center punch, automatic center punch, when it punches a hole for you, or a starter hole. I didn't talk about the tools that I was using when I first started. So you're going to need a 13 millimeter to get your tailgate off. Then I've got 1/4 inch by 20 thread, nut certs, or rivnuts, whatever you guys want to call them. I'm going to use an 11/32. It's going to be a very tight fit. You may have to just help it a little bit, but if you use a 3/8, this thing's going to be wobbly in the hole, and I don't want that. I am going to use a 1/8 pilot drill and pilot drill all my holes, and then we will use the Riv-nut tool, and I'll show you how to use this if you've never used one. Pretty straightforward, pretty simple. But let me get this off, get the holes drilled. Oh, and in the time lapse, you probably also saw where I took this clamp and I pulled the center of this down some. I tried to straighten this. This thing had an arch in it, and the tailgate was rubbing right in here. So what I'm going to do is pull my hole down and let it pull the center of this down so that it'll give me just a little bit more clearance right here in the middle. I straightened this the best I could by clamping it to a table and straightening it. So if you get one of these, eyeball it and make sure that it's straight. Then we're going to take our hand seamer once we get all the riv nuts in, and we'll bend this flange back. You can see it's sticking off probably 1/8 of an inch here. And for those of you that are just doing this and don't have anything off your tailgate, don't forget you're going to have to remove your spare tire crank, as well as the plastic grommet that goes in there that holds the crank handle. So I'm going to take this off, get these drilled, and we'll put it back up here and see if we can start lining things up. Okay, as you can see, this thing's fighting me a little bit. These two riv nuts are right in a seam and the drill bit's wanting to walk. So what I'm going to do is go ahead and drill these out, and I'll show you how to put these riv nuts in, and we will we'll finish out getting it installed. Once I show you how to put one of them in, you should be able to get the other ones pretty simple. So let's go ahead and drill these out. Okay guys, I'm going to show you this riv nut tool. Basically what I did, I just changed the coupling that goes in here for your riv nut. And what you're going to do, it's got a screw down here that turns your thread. You're going to want to put your riv nut on all the way. So turn your riv nut until it tightens up. And you got your handles here. Stick it in the hole. Pull it. Unthread it. Now you have a place for your nuts to go. I'll do the other one close up where you can see. Let me get you around here, get you zoomed in where you can see this. Basically, put your riv nut on here. You got a handle down here. You thread it all the way up till your handles come all the way up. You can see. Stick it in your hole. Compress it together. And that's it. So I'm going to get this hung and get the rest of these done, and we will we'll start trying to get our fitment around the outside edges. Okay, it is installed. What do you think, guys? Let me give you an up-close view. So I left my tape on here where you could see where I ended up. This was where the top of the bumper was earlier. And as you can see, it's moved down. I really, when you get close to it, you look like there's a big gap there. Looks like a big gap. It's actually, if I measure it and show you, it's 1 inch all the way across. And you would think you would have plenty of room to open the tailgate and everything clear, but I'll show you what I ran into. I did flush it up with the body line here. You can see it does hang down, and you would think that this 1/4 inch hanging down, if you scooted this up, would take up some of this gap. So I tried it. Let me show you the tailgate. Let me open it. If I can get close enough to show you how close it is. It's about 1/8 of an inch back in there, and it doesn't rub. But I thought, man, I've got enough that I could drill these holes, you know, 1/4 of an inch below the original factory holes, and slide this roll pan up. So I did. I did it on each end, and when I put it back, moved it up that 1/4 of an inch, it rubbed here. So I just left it at 1 inch. Again, if you're back here driving behind it, it's probably not so bad, but that's what you get into with these roll pans. Let me show you what I did underneath the truck to tie it in right here. I'm probably going to make some brackets later, but for now, to keep it steady, basically all I did is I drilled a hole through the inside lip of the roll pan, and I put me a nut on the back and went through the little flange on the tailgate or on the bedside. It doesn't hurt anything, but it's real good and strong. I was going to put a spacer in there. Some of you might ask about a spacer, but if I can show you, the bottom lip of the tailgate or the bedside is right up against the bolt. So it's hard to put a spacer in there. You could probably grind some washers down or something like that. But I think I'm just going to make a steel bracket to go inside there to take up that space, and that'll cure that and strengthen it up. So that's going to be all for today, guys. I hope the audio was a lot better with this new mic system. I know last time I listened to my videos, I watch them multiple times before I post them, but something happened when I uploaded it. The volume went way down, so you had to turn the volume on your computer or your earphones way up to hear it. So maybe this takes care of that. If you like this kind of content, again, I appreciate all my subscribers. If you want to be a subscriber, hit that subscribe button. I got plenty more stuff coming in the future, some Turbo 400 transmission stuff. We're going to put, you can see in the bed, I've got all the stuff to put the battery box in. So we've got all kinds of stuff we're fixing to do now that we've got this roll pan on. Leave me some comments on the roll pan. What do you think about that gap? It's kind of thick, but wide. But that's the best I could do. But thanks for tuning back in, and we'll catch you guys in the next episode.